Hello, my name is David Chapman, and this is my benchmark project on organizational design, structure, and change. So, the company that I'll be examining is Bed Bath & Beyond, a company near and dear to my heart. I worked for this company from 2016 to 2017 in the accounts payable department, and there I worked on reconciliations on the retail side. In recent years, this retail giant has been underperforming. Most recently, the COVID shutdowns have had a massive effect on Bed Bath's sales. The stores were already doing pretty poorly, but the pandemic brought a whole new layer onto on these challenges. In turn, the company's leadership has decided to undergo a massive restructuring to try to correct its course. Additionally, the company is also holding on to an overage of inventory and needs to massively be reduced. So that's also providing its own challenges in its own way. So, as far as the company's organizational structure is concerned, in May of 2020, Gustavo Arnal joined the company as its new chief financial officer. And this is following in November 2019, a new CEO named Mark Tritton joined the company. There have also been other top executives who have recently been added to the team, as, for example, a chief digital officer, a chief stores officer, as well as a chief legal officer. Um, the company is seeking to bring in fresh faces as a means to change the the course of its faltering sales figures. Aside from taking place at the top, there have also been many changes, mostly in the form of job cuts that have taken place elsewhere in the company, as well as other reassignments and things of that nature that they've undertaken as well. These are part of structural changes, more specifically, re engineering. Bed Bath is hoping will reduce costs and bring about savings to ensure better financial stability. So, conscious culture and management. The culture at Bed Bath, um, I definitely recall it not necessarily being the most conscious capitalist based. Um, Historically, the nature of the business has really been more or less to sell as much product as it can and to reap as much profit as it can. Hence, the company has ended up with an abundance of inventory just through this buy and sell approach. Um, the model of the company has not really been constructed to serve a higher purpose of any discernible nature. The layoffs that the company undertook would be a prime example of this, as that's not really putting the employees' well being and welfare first and foremost. Um, the upper management is definitely looking at short term cost savings instead of how it can better serve the employees as well as the other stakeholders in the company, the vendors, the customers, shareholders, of course. Um, there's really more of a focus just on short term gains than any sort of substantive, conscious based leadership. Staying on conscious culture and management, if the company underwent changes to embrace a more conscious leadership style, it would make an already popular brand even better. The employees would have a better opinion of the company, and the customer would have a better experience because of the employee's satisfaction with their workplace. By improving the customer experience, a business would likely see an increase in popularity with the added attention to its employees and its stakeholders. So, the plan for change that I would implement. The plan for change would be based out of Kotter's 8 step process for leading change. So, first would be to build a sense of urgency. Um, First, we would create a sense of urgency to change the company's course. This would come mostly from the leadership of the company, but I believe that a lot of present employees would also see a need for change as well. I mean, in fact, I would say that this sense of urgency has made itself very much self apparent through the years as the company has had hit its historical financial struggles. I can definitely attest that when I was there about 5 years ago or so, a lot of people even then were saying that the company definitely needed to change. To build a coalition for change, this would require having the leadership and leaders among the employees at the table. The strategic vision would consist of two main parts: selling quality products at a good price and creating more value for all the stakeholders present. So, moving forward here, the volunteer army would consist of a broad array of stakeholders and experts to turn the company around. First, customers would be enlisted to tell the management how the store could better serve their needs. Second, there would be employees from the stores, corporate office, and distribution centers enlisted to help the management navigate the needs of the average employee. Of course, the leadership would be an integral role as they have the legitimate decision making power to actually implement these changes. Finally, outside experts would also be good to bring to the table, as they could be consulted to see how other companies have turned themselves around, how other companies have implemented similar programs. So barriers to change would have to be removed early on. Most of the barriers to change that would exist would be from the old processes of the company that the company had for years that just don't work anymore. This would include old technologies that are outdated, as well as updating the inventory and making it more modern. These are two things specifically that I remember from my time with the company that definitely needed to change when I was there. The short term wins that would arise would be gathered by advertising the changes at the company and packaging it as a new concept it is undertaking. This could generate millions in short term sales as customers check out the new Bed Bath. This momentum would be sustained by further changing the company by increasing compensation for its employees, adding more benefits, and taking a more conscious culture. This would ultimately lead into the final phase, which is the change in which the change has been instituted. This would come in the form of the top executives continuing to dedicate itself to conscious leadership, as well as to ensure that all the stakeholders in the company are prioritized above anything else. So the challenges to the change, the challenges to instituting the changes I've outlined in the previous slides would mostly be in the fiscal sense. This would include the cost of updating the inventory as well as the cost of increasing wages and benefits for the employees. To circumvent these challenges, there would have to be they would have to be phased in over time. Ultimately, the upper executives of the company would most likely have to take a pay cut, or at least in the short term, to make the initial investments possible. However, with instituting new inventory, part of that would eliminate a lot of low volume products from their shelves. And this would ultimately save the company money because it is not spending money on products that don't sell as well. The real challenge would be to change the minds of those in leadership who are ingrained in the old style of thinking and do not want to institute significant changes, or at least the ones that would significantly benefit the lower level employees. Ultimately, this would change once change has started to take place and the company is already benefiting. So, lessons and strategies. Part of the strategy for implementing the changes outlined earlier would be to train the management in the new conscious leadership based program. This program would have to be developed specifically with the new conscious management style in mind, as these programs are complex and need to be tailored to the company's individual change goals. Survey feedback is another part of the program that would be implemented. This would be from the rank and file workers as well as from the customers. These are the people in the stores as well as the corporate office and distribution centers who oversee the day-to-day operations of the company. And finally, more lessons and strategies. Another strategy that be used is to focus on the quality of work-life development as part of the changes at the company. This means focusing on the quality of people's time at work and working to address these issues to reduce the quality. And an important lesson that is to be learned with implementing the new changes is to avoid overdetermination. This is a major change for a company like Bed Bath to undertake. This is when overdetermination is when a company becomes overzealous in implementing new changes and the policies overwhelm the workers ultimately. So instead, the model for change would be rewards based, encouraging the employees to embrace new ways. Granted, mostly it would be from the leadership that would be undertaking the most significant changes. So it would have to reward them somehow as well for undertaking these changes. Thank you.